So Tomorrow Never Dies, Black Ops Entertainment's predecessor to The World Is Not Enough, so let's start this up and see what we're in store for.
Wait a minute. Did I put in the wrong game? Because this looks a lot like The World Is Not Enough already.
I have a bad feeling about this one. Here, have another comparison.
Well, apart from a few differences, the game starts up near enough the same, both menus laid out in essentially the same way with the exact same graphics looping in the background. Okay, enough staring at the menus, let's look at the actual game, shall we? Well, to say I'm surprised is an understatement, considering the last 3 games I'd covered were first person. To see that Tomorrow Never Dies takes an entirely unique approach and goes for a third person style of gameplay is just unexpected. Well, let's see how it is then, shall we? Like last time, this is another game made to coincide with a film release, and as such, is made to resemble that of the film. Well, I think is supposed to anyway. I'm having trouble telling due to James Bond apparently having been hit so hard in the face with a frying pan that his face has devolved into a flat 2D mess. Honestly, the whole game looks rather unsightly. James has a horrible blocky body, which I guess was a common practice in the PS1 at the time. Even Metal Gear and Final Fantasy are guilty of having blocky flat graphics, but they at least looked good. Again, using aesthetic styles which work well within the system's limitations. But what's worse is that both Metal Gear Solid and Final Fantasy VII came out before Tomorrow Never Dies. So, what can I honestly say about this game? It's awful. Seriously, it's terrible. Playing it is simply unpleasant. For one, the controls are stiff as hell. It feels like when you press the D-pad to move, you don't move until a full second later. Almost feels like I'm playing Super Smash Bros. Brawl online. On the first level alone, I died 3 times simply due to having trouble aiming. You get what's called your sniper view when you hold R1, which is like in any other shooting game. Better, more precise aiming. But you'd be better off not using it, since this depends on being able to actually aim the damn thing, which is hard to do when every button input has a delay, and the enemies are moving all around while shooting at you. The best strategy is to simply use the auto-lock on, at least you can hit your target and takes much less effort. So, we've established the controls are awful, the shooting hardly works. There must be some redeeming factor, right? Well, much like Black Ops Entertainment's version of The World Is Not Enough, this game does have good quality voice acting, as well as some really nice full motion video sequences for the briefing sections of the game. And I suppose the soundtrack isn't too bad. After all, you can't really go wrong with the James Bond theme tune, and the other music isn't so bad either. The game certainly tried some interesting gameplay variations to try and mix things up, such as the first level ending and you skiing down a slope for your escape, but that had a few problems to say the least. Overall, Tomorrow Never Dies was a pretty mediocre experience at best, but considering it came hot off the heels of Rare's GoldenEye, I have to give them some respect for trying something different. It just sadly didn't work out quite as good as they'd hoped it would. Now there was actually one more James Bond game on PS1, and since I've done 2 out of the 3 already, may as well keep on going. Lastly, on the PS1 we find one of the strangest games in the series, none other than 007 Racing. Yep, 007 Racing. While it sounds like it's a kart racer starring James Bond in the vein of Mario Kart, it's actually not. 007 Racing is a somewhat serious game. It just happens to have a gimmick that you're always in a car. The first mission, for example, you must break into a courtyard, pick up a hostage, grab fancy missiles, drive along to essentially an empty car park, and then blow up a helicopter. Mission complete. See what I mean now? Not a kart racer, just a game where you carry out missions confined to a car. Sort of reminds me of that game Spy Hunter for the GameCube. We'll save that one for another day though. 007 Racing suffers from a lot of problems. First and foremost being the control, or better yet, the lack thereof. Turning feels laggy and stiff. It's much like Tomorrow Never Dies, where the response time from hitting the button to the game actually performing the action is just far too long. As such, you sort of have to input button presses preemptively. You get sort of accustomed to it after a while of playing, but there's always something which will come along to remind you. In a game where you're constantly stuck in a car, the most important thing should have been nailing the controls. After all, you can suffer a bad story as long as the game is playable, right? But not only is this game unplayable, the story's bad too. It's messy and uninspired. The plot is this. A European diplomat plans to hijack a shipment of weapons owned by NATO and smuggle them to terrorists. How do they intend to smuggle them, you may ask? In cars, of course. So basically, a plot which reinforces the choice to stay in cars all the time. But if the PS1 has shown me anything, getting out of the car isn't too great anyway. I wouldn't mind the crappy controls if having precision wasn't so necessary, but honestly, a lot of the game needs precision. An example is the second mission. Bond arrives in New York only to be contacted by the game's villain who says, and I may be paraphrasing here,
"Hello, Mr. Bond. What a mighty fine car you are driving today. I would like one too. But, you see, it would be a shame if something were to happen.
What did you do?
For you see, I have planted a bomb in your car. That would surely just blow you into smithereens if you were to start driving.
I guess I just won't drive then.
But you have to drive!
Nah, see ya.
Oh, I should have thought this through!
yes, you get contacted by the villain, only for him to tell you he's planted a bomb in your car which will blow up if you slow down, only for the mission to start with Bond in the car, not moving. Which goes to show the amount of care which went into this game. At least keep what's happening work together with the plot. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, precision. This mission requires you to drive around picking up these little devices which supposedly confuse the bomb so that it won't explode, but in game terms that just means when you pick it up you're granted an extra 20 seconds or so to not blow up. This is the precision gameplay I'm talking about. You have to wrestle with the controls to pick these up, all while on a time limit and all while not slowing down and dodging traffic as you make it through a level with a horrible draw distance. Luckily, the bomb is forgiving. When you do slow down, you hear a beep noise, which gradually speeds up, which serves as an audio cue to let you know when the bomb is about to go. So you have time to get back up to speed.
It's a good thing I asked for the water damage waiver. Well, that was a splashing success.
My final thoughts on this game are that it's just terrible. It's playable, sure, but you wouldn't want to play it because it's just an uncontrollable mess.
Done. I'm done with bad PS1 games. Just please, can we move on to something good?
Hello, Mr. Bond. I'm bringing party here now.
Mr. Bot. My name's Scott.
No, you are Mr. Bond. You look like him. It goes in for me.
Oh!
Yeah, my channel's better.
You know, I was told that things like this would happen to people who choose to go into reviewing, but I never once thought it would actually happen to me.
Who the are you talking to?
You know, it's pretty convenient that you kidnapped my camera crew as well. Have they also done something wrong?
You want some cookies?
I love cookies.
I love cookies.
I'll go get some.
Yes.
There you go.
Thank you.
Ooh, you have cookies? Why don't I get one?
No!
Okay. Shut up and keep playing bad games. Idiot.
Keep quiet. Clearly he doesn't know me. What the hell is this behind me? Oh, it's just the bad games he was talking about. Oh well. Just kill me.
Cookies? Why don't I get one?
No!